Wall Street isn't a marketplace. It's a cathedral of ghosts where the highest IQs and the loudest idiots dance in the same fire. It is a place where a guy with a PhD in quantum physics and a guy who unironically eats crayons come together, united by one terrifying, sacred truth. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. We like to pretend there's a formula, a secret code held by the elite, but look closer and you'll see the strings are tied to nothing. It's a beautifully orchestrated riot, a hall of mirrors where your bank account is the punchline of a joke you weren't invited to. I've been in the trenches, I've felt the rush of the win and the gut punch of the rug pull, and I'm here to tell you, it's all a glorious, expensive lie. If you're ready to stop being the mark and see the game for what it truly is, subscribe to the channel now. Your support keeps us digging into the shadows. Now, let's meet the 6 types of lunatics running this asylum. To understand the sheer madness of the crowd, you have to look at the individual players who make up this grand illusion, each one a different flavor of human hope and desperation. It's only right to start with the Warren Buffett disciples, the value investors who live in a world of dusty ledgers and beige dreams. This is the guy who drinks his coffee lukewarm because hot is a luxury and considers a 500-page 10K filing to be a gripping page-turner. He's the life of the party if that party is awake for a defunct railroad company. He won't shut up about moats and intrinsic value, spending 400 hours analyzing a company's balance sheet just to buy 3 shares of a brick factory. But when you ask about his returns, he retreats into the long-term bunker. The truth is, he's been underperforming the index since the Bush administration. To me, the value investor is a man terrified of the modern world's speed, clinging to a 1950s map while the terrain is already on fire. Then you have the finance bro, the entrepreneur who thinks a cold plunge and a Goggins podcast are the only keys to wealth. His portfolio is a chaotic mess of 3 meme stocks, a failed Forex course, and a pending DUI. He's the guy who corners you at a party to tell you that the best investment is in yourself, while he charges his friends $20 to get through his front door. He's not trying to beat the market. He's trying to outrun the crushing weight of his own insecurity. His idea of diversified income is sports betting and crypto rug pulls. When I look at him, I don't see a shark. I see a guy drowning in his own hype, desperate to be the person his Instagram profile claims he is. Then there's the technical artist, the man with 12 monitors who sees bull flags in the steam of his morning espresso. He looks at a stock chart the way a conspiracy theorist looks at grainy UFO footage. He doesn't care what a company does. He doesn't even know because fundamentals are for boomers. He doesn't do due diligence. He draws art. He speaks a dialect of moving averages and RSI levels that sounds like a secret code for the damned. I've sat in his chair before, and I can tell you, those lines aren't math. They're an attempt to find order in a universe that is fundamentally chaotic. He's not a trader. He's a man trying to predict the weather by looking at the shapes of the clouds. And we can't forget the Web3 evangelist, the guy who turned $400 into $13,000 and back to zero in a single weekend. He calls himself early, but he's really just unemployed with an unhealthy addiction to Discord. He lost his net worth in a coin called Fartcoin and calls it a learning experience. Now he owns 12 pixelated animal NFTs, lives in a van because he wants to be off-grid, and swears fiat currency is a scam while using his mom's Venmo. He's a digital ghost, arguing with 14-year-olds about the future of finance while he hasn't seen daylight in weeks. He wants to burn the system down because he never learned how to live inside it. Then comes the Wall Street Bets degenerate, the high-octane gambler worshipping Roaring Kitty. He drinks Monster, eats frozen snacks, and refers to his massive losses as battle scars. To him, a 40% pullback is just consolidation. He's not here for the money, he's here for the war. His long-term plan involves going all in on weekly calls and then screaming market manipulation when the screen turns red. He doesn't read reports, he just feels things. He's chasing a high that no amount of money will ever satisfy. Finally, we have the doomer, the guy who watched The Big Short once and made it his entire personality. He lives in Excel, mumbling about synthetic debt and the fall of Western finance. He's been wrong 137 times in a row, but his answer is always one day. He doesn't just want to be right, he wants to be the only person standing in the ashes, so he can whisper, "I told you so." He's short the market and short of hope, a man who would rather see the world burn than admit he missed the rally. Which one of these souls are you currently inhabiting, and are you brave enough to look in the mirror? We look at these caricatures and laugh because it's easier than admitting that their faces are just reflections of our own in a cracked mirror. Why do we cling to these identities with such desperation? It's because the human brain is a pattern-seeking machine that absolutely loathes randomness. We are terrified of the void where nobody knows anything lives, so we build these psychological fortresses to feel safe. The value investor isn't just disciplined, he's paralyzed by the sunk cost fallacy, refusing to admit the world changed while he was reading. The degenerate isn't just bold, he's a victim of the gambler's fallacy, convinced the universe owes him a win. And the doomer? He's drowning in confirmation bias, starving himself of joy just to be right about a catastrophe. I've stood on all sides of this glass. I've been the guy drawing lines on a screen to hide from the truth that I was out of control. We don't mock them because they are different. We mock them because they represent our own internal failures. Investment isn't a math problem. It's an ongoing war against the wiring of our own minds, a struggle to stay sane in a world that thrives on our delusion. Once you strip away the ego, you're left standing in the ashes of what you thought was certain. Whether you're chasing an inverted frog or Buffett's ghost, nobody knows anything. Success is just surviving the circus without becoming a caricature. Which sin is yours? Tell me below. Let's have an intervention.